So I want to ask the bold question as we choose to challenge. The question is, what is your possible? And for women, we have to immediately figure out what is our possible. What is possible for you? What is possible for your sisters who sit to the right and left of you every day? What's possible for your vision for where you want to go? But here's what I know. As women, we often derail ourselves and we derail each other. So I come at this unconscious bias from a different lens. Diversity is the law, inclusion is our mission, equity is the goal, and equality is the investment in what we make with each other. But here's a question for all of you as women. Would you, as a woman leader, be willing to mentor, sponsor, and champion a subordinate, a woman that is not at your equal level at work? Would you be willing to champion that person so that that individual could become your boss one day? And I ask that question because that is how unconscious bias shows up for women. It's not just the workplaces that we are in where we are the only woman or the only Black woman, or we're struggling to find our way as a woman. When we arrive in the workplace as women, we have to be conscious about how we show up there, how we show up to champion other women. How is our unconscious bias coming into the room to stop other women from moving ahead? So when I ask this question, there's a reason. The Catalyst Foundation did a study. Of all the Fortune 500s in the United States, there's been 3 women that has mentored another woman to be the CEO as her successor. And once that woman became the successor, she did not mentor another woman to succeed her. So listen to that carefully. A woman mentored a woman and she became the CEO. And when she became the CEO, she did not mentor another woman so that that woman could take over for her. Every woman that has been a CEO of a Fortune 500 company in the United States and almost globally has been replaced by a man. So as much as we talk about making gains, our own deep-seated unconscious bias against each other stops us from propelling each other forward. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, just that little catalyst piece. As women, we have to understand how we show up in the workplace. How do we basically stop another woman from seeing her possibility? The reason I asked and the choose to challenge for my company this year is, what's your possible and what's possible for you? Because oftentimes as women, our possibility is driven not by the goals we have within ourselves, but the goals that other people say to us through their own bias. I don't think Margaret should get ahead. I don't think she's the right woman. I don't think she's showing up with the right hair. I don't think she's showing up dressed the right way. I don't think that she walked in the room well. I don't think that we want her power in this place. So our bias shows up in such different dichotomies, such different triangulation as women. As women, we are often harder on ourselves than men are hard on us. That is a fact. That is a key fact. But here's what unconscious bias says. It says deep within us, we have not only scarcity, but we also have our own deep-seated uncomfortableness about the position that we hold. See, in my life, the men that pushed me forward were the women that pulled me backward. I had a boss say to me one day, I don't see your potential. A woman boss said that to me. That was her own bias. For her, I showed up too powerfully in the room. A lot of you right now are showing up very powerfully and you're being told, be quiet, be silent. And then we begin to breathe in this imposter syndrome. See, we label it. There is no label. It's what we've been told generationally. I was told by my grandmother, be seen and not heard. So when I showed up at the table, that unconscious bias that was built into me showed up as being seen and not heard. So I couldn't advocate for myself. I didn't know how to show up powerfully. I didn't understand my own biases of having the right to stand in that place. See, bias is not just black and white. It's what we've been ingrained. It's what we've been told. It's the subconsciousness that we've been presented with our whole lives as women. See, our sons, our boys get pushed and our women get cajoled. Our women are the princess and our men are the king. And so because of that, we show up with that mentality. And when a woman walks in with her power, other women say, oh my God, that's too much. She's too much. And then we as women believe that we are not enough. That's how our unconscious bias shows up. So yes, it's all about the numbers. It's all about the colorism. It's all about, am I from Jamaica or am I from Guyana? Or am I Indian or am I Black? Or am I mixed? Is my hair good enough? See, that's what we were told as children. And now we are adults and we're living out those unconscious biases, but they're showing up to stop the possibility of another woman. And then the men that often feel threatened by us, who when we show up, they don't know how to be our allies. So when you see a woman ascending and you see her potential, it's imperative that we harness that potential, because bias is about respect. See, if we have bias against another person, we're basically saying that we don't respect that person. We don't respect the God-given place that they stand in. And because we don't respect the place they stand in, we're able to attrition and pull out biases. See, it's respect. If you respect me as Margaret, I don't need a title. If you respect me as a woman, you empower me. If you respect this place I stand in, you want to lift me up. If you respect your sisters, you say, if I arrive and I am the placeholder in that spot, I'm going to pull my next woman up, because as the placeholder, I'm holding the place for another woman. That's bias. That's how bias pushes aside and moves to empowerment, because we respect each other as women. We respect the ground we walk on. Respect says a couple things, and let me give them to you. See, diversity is what all of us are. But diversity asks us a question: how granular are your exclusions? Inclusion answers, what can we do to give everybody a voice? So we don't come with our unconscious bias. See, bias asks us, what am I assuming about you that's not true? That's the story I've made in my head. That's the bias that I brought to the table because maybe I didn't like how you showed up that day. Equality and equity answers, what are the possibilities I'm offering this individual or community? What am I offering this individual? What am I giving to them? Inclusion, the lens of inclusion says, I've given you a seat at the table. But somehow in the back of our mind, when we have bias, we say, what more do you want? I gave you a seat at the table. What more do you want? But here's the deal. Equity answers, what will you do to make sure that me, Margaret, a woman, you, when you show up at the table, that you have the power that you've been given? What will you do to support me so that I can grow beyond where I am? What will you do to pull me out? See, the woman that told me that I would have no potential, I was keynoting a conference and she was sitting in the audience. And I told the story. See, when I came to you and asked for the promotion, you told me that you didn't see my potential. Today, I've written 3 books. I'm standing on the stage because I saw what was possible for me. So ladies, we have to get clear about our bias, how we show up, how we figure out who we are. because nobody can hold us down. Even if the numbers say there aren't that many of us, the numbers cannot hold us down. We need to stop living up to the numbers that we have been given. See, my mother didn't come to the United States to clean houses for me to not live up to my potential. See, your parents didn't do what they did to get you to where you are for you to not live up to your potential. So no bias gets to stop me. I get to show up with my power. I get to show up as me. If you don't like it, that's okay. Because if you don't like the power I show up with, then I am not at the place that I should be. It's time for me to move on. And ladies, our unconscious, subconscious need for validation stops us from building and pushing into our own selves. So I ask you again, as I wrap up, what is your possible? What's possible for you? As a woman, we cannot continue to pull down other women. There is no one spot in the upward chain. There are multiple places for all of us to go. The place that you are, if it doesn't have an opportunity for you to go up, then you are at the wrong place. Start looking around and go somewhere else. If you as an organization cannot see the potential of a woman, then you have a problem as an organization and you're not the right place for me to work. We have to be willing as women to lead faster, to advance bolder. We cannot stay where they don't value us and keep expecting them to value us when they don't. But unconsciously, our own biases have to be pushed away. We have to push away our biases against each other. Because when I rise, you rise. When you rise, I rise. How many of you are going to tomorrow put your hands back and pull up your sister who is behind you? That's the challenge. Find the possibility for someone else and pull them forward. Find the possibility for someone else and pull them forward. Thank you. It is always my pleasure to speak in the Caribbean.